Okay, so we're going to set up our workspace first before we get started. And we are going to first create our artboard, which is what it's going to be called in Affinity. And we are working in inches, so we're going to make it 36 inches by 25 inches high. And you can leave it at 300 DPI. You don't need to touch anything else. Just click create. Okay, and so some other things that we need to set up, we need to turn on rulers so that we can see them. You're going to come to view, you're going to come to show, and then you're going to turn on rulers. And in the corner here, you should see IN inches. If you don't see that, you can right click to assure that it's inches that is selected. And as you can see the check mark, it's selected. The next thing that we're going to do is that we're going to turn on our grid. And to do that, we need to go to View, Show, and then come down to where it says Grid. And your grid may not have the blue and red. It may be like a light gray color. That's okay. We are going to change the color of your grid. And to do so, we need to go into View and come down to where it says Grid Access. And where you see I have the red and blue here, yours will be gray. And this button here, or this icon, means link. Yours most likely would be like linked. We need to unlink that, so just select that to unlink the two colors because we want one color, one set of colors to be like red and the other one to be blue. So you're going to select on where you see gray and then select your red within these color droppings. So you could just kind of like move around and then, find the color. So I'm going to select red and just click off the screen. And then now for the subdivision lines, we're going to select blue. So I'm going to select that and I'm just going to select the blue. I want it to be a bit bright. Okay. And your opacity, that's this slider here, which makes it lighter and darker. And as you can see behind here, it gets lighter and darker. I want you to raise up the one that is red all the way up. And then the one that is blue, you can leave it like in the middle here. If it's like low, just raise it up. And then once you've done that, we're going to click close. The next thing we need to set up is turning on snapping. So to do that, we're going to go to View and we're going to select Snapping. Now this is one way to access the snapping panel, and you would need to just toggle it on, which will turn it on. The other way is right here in this menu. You have an icon that is shaped like a magnet. That is how you can turn on snapping on. Right now it's on. If I click it again, it's off. That same menu that I had up is accessible by this little arrow that's a drop down, and you can still toggle it on like that. So now that we're in this menu and we have turned on snapping, we need to turn on snap to grid. So if you come down here where it says page snapping, this should already be on, but you need to just check this box that says snap to grid. Okay. And then once you've done that, you could just click on any area of the page and it will close. And the next thing that we need to do is set up our nudging distance. And to do that, we're going to go to Edit and we're going to come down to Settings and we're going to come here to Tools, select Tools, and we're going to scroll down to the bottom and it's going to have Nudge Distance. And you're going to set that to what you see on the screen here, which is, okay, just deleted it, 0.25, and make sure it's in inches, okay? And once you've done that, you can just close the window. And now our workspace is all set up and we're getting ready for the next step. Okay, so the next things that we are going to set up is our pen tool, excuse me. So we're going to select the pen tool, and over here we don't want any fill in for our anything that we're going to make, which is the slopers. So we're going to make sure that's selected, and we're going to just select this no fill. I'm going to just do that, and then I want you to select the stroke that's behind, so it is now on top. And then we're going to come to stroke, and we're going to raise it up to about 3 point anything, just 3.6, that's fine. And this gives us a very thick line that you can see while you're creating the slopers. And another thing that I would like to go over, because once I start doing drafting out the sloper, I'm going to just keep going so you can follow along. So there's some things that I just kind of want to go over. For instance, when we're getting ready to pivot anything, because there is going to be a step within creating the sloper that we have to kind of pivot a few of the angles. So I want to kind of demonstrate that so you'll have an idea. So I'm going to just create a short line here, and I'm going to press escape, and I want to pivot the top of this line over, so I don't want the bottom to move. So with the move tool selected, I'm going to select this gear icon that comes up. It only comes up when the move tool is selected with your item. So if this is not selected, you won't, I mean, you'll see it, but it's not active for this. So I'm going to select this line, and with my gear tool, I'm going to select that, and I'm going to enable transform origin. I'm going to select that box right there. Now, I don't know if you noticed that, but a little bullseye um, was created. Let me uncheck, and then you see it disappeared. And then I checked it again, and I'm just going to try to zoom in as much as I can. It gets smaller the closer you get to it. I really wish there was an option to make this just a tad bit bigger. Um, so this bullseye is what we need to kind of move around. So once that is selected, I need to take this bullseye and put it to our pivoting point, the point that we don't want it to move to. So you can, when you hover over it, your mouse, your pointer changes to this 4-point arrow kind of cross. So I need to take this and drag it down here. So I'm just going to click and hold down, and I'm just going to drag, and then until I get to this point here, and you see how that line lights up when I hover over it. That means that it's connecting to that point. And if I zoom in, it's perfectly put on the line on the point. Okay. So now with that being placed on our pivot point, now I can come and rotate this line here. So if I hover over this point on the top, my arrow will change into a curved two-sided arrow. That tells me that I can go right or left. And so I'm going to hover until I see that, and then I'm going to click and I'm going to rotate it. And what this does is it rotates it wherever you need it to be. It doesn't change the distance, the height of the line. It doesn't change that at all. It just allows you to rotate it and put it where you need it to be. And we're going to have that happen in one of the steps where we need a line to be a specific length, but we need it to touch or rotate to another line. So this is just something that when I do that step that you'll understand that. And another option, oh, not an option, but something else that we will have to do is do a 90-degree angle and for a particular part of the sloper. So that same step applies. So we're going to create a 90-degree, like an L square. So it's going to be an L. So I'm just going to um, just make a sample. So this, I'm going to press escape. So this will be considered the L square. And if I select the move tool, my bullseye comes up because I already have this activated. So my bullseye will come up. I need to move my bullseye from here, from this point, and I need to move it to my pivot point, which would be here. Okay, so then we're going to just take it, and you can just see when it hits that, both lines for the Y and the X axis. So this is the Y axis, this is the X, and we landed that perfectly there. And that's why we have snap to grid, because everything snaps into place. And so now with that there, we're able to take any of these, well, this corner, this corner, this, we can toggle here and here to kind of rotate. So if I wanted to grab it at this corner, now I can rotate it and pivot it. Okay, so these are just a few things that I wanted you to know before we start. Also, I have a pre-made measurement decimal conversion grid. It only converts for the 8th and the 16th, and it's just basically converting from fractions to decimals. So this is available for free on my website at campusoffashion.com. So you can download that. We'll refer to this quite often because honestly, sometimes when I'm drafting, I don't want to think about the conversions. I just need the answer. Some things I might remember off the top of my head. Um, Others, I just need to confirm that the answer is correct so I don't waste time, trying to figure it out. So this is why I kind of use the decimal conversion chart. Okay, and we're going to get started now. Okay, so before we continue, be sure that you turn off the enable I think it's off here, but the one that we turned on. The one that we turned on here, enable transform origin. Just make sure that's off, that's toggled off, because you will be highly annoyed with that. We'll be turning it on and off throughout the creating of this. So we're going to get started. I am working from the steps from the book Pattern Making for Fashion Design, the edition by Helen Joseph Armstrong. I know this book is available in the US. I don't know other countries, but utilize whatever resources you have. You should be able to order this book online. I don't know if it has a digital download, but this is the book that I am following, and it is size 6 to create the front sloper. So we're going to get started. So first step is we're going to select the pen tool. We're starting in the middle because the front sloper will go to the left. So the first thing is to let's see, A to B equals the full length. So the full length of the measurements in size 6 is 16 and 7/8. We're going to add plus 1/8, eighth of an inch to that total, which is going to be 17. So we need to make a line that is going on the y-axis, which is up and down, and we're going to turn that into the measurement 17. So just click your first point on a red line and click to the next. Press escape, go to your move tool and put in 17 and press enter. And then it will go straight down to 17. That's the measurement for the first one. And we're going to label this with your artistic text tool. You just click and drag, and we're going to label that A. And at the bottom, we're going to click and drag again, and that's going to be B. Okay? So we're going to go back to the top here. We're going to zoom in. We're going to get our pen tool for the next step. And A to C equals across shoulder. And across shoulder is 7.5. And it says minus, well, it says less 1/8 of an inch, which anytime you see the word less, it means minus. So A to C equals across shoulder, which is 7.5, minus 1/8 of an inch. So we're minusing that. It's 7 3/8. So we're going to click on point A, and we're going across on the x-axis, and we're just going to click anywhere, press escape, go to your move tool, and then we're going to change the measurements for this, and it was 7 3/8. And if you don't know the 3/8, it's 375. So you're going to put in 7.375. Okay, and then you're going to press enter. And when you come back across over here, this line is 7 3/8 of an inch. Okay, and this line it's going to be named the letter C. So we're going to just come and drag and make that C. Okay, and the next thing that we have to do on this letter C is square down. Anytime you see square down, it's at a 90-degree angle, and you square down, meaning you go down. If it says square up, you go up. Okay. So now we are going to get our pen tool, and we're going to click on, if that didn't, be sure you're clicking on the actual same connected dot. So we're going to click that. And because this is not a line that we can follow, it's kind of in between, we're going to hold down shift and just click anywhere. Click escape, go to your move tool, and we have to type in the height of 3 and press enter. So it gives you the 3 inches. Next is B to the letter D. So B is in boy, D is in David. So B to D equals center front length. So B to D, B is down here, and it's from here up. So that's like where the neckline scoops is what we need. So how we're going to achieve that is we are going to make another line that's kind of next to it. So we're going to start up right next to B. Okay. And we're just going to go and click upward. We're going to click escape, and we're going to go to get our move tool. And that line is B to D is center front, so the center front is 14 and 1/8. So we're going to go and type in 14 point and 1/8 on our chart is 0.125. So we're going to put in, where am I? 14.125. And I'm going to press enter. And that will take it up to the top here. And now we know where that line is. Now I'm going to change the color of this line to pink, and you'll see why in a minute. We need that to be visible because I'm going to put this line right on top of this line. This just tells me where my measurement is for this. So I'm going to nudge over with my right arrow on the keyboard, and I'm just going to go until it lines up. And now I know where that measurement is. And so this is going to be labeled D. And we're going to come get our artistic tool, drag, and then letter D. Okay. So now from this point that we just did, letter D, we need to mark and square out 4 inches. So we need to come out this way 4 inches. So with our pen tool selected, we're going to zoom in and select that point. Okay. And again, how you know your point is being selected, it will literally grab onto it. If you're not sure, select the line and then you can always see the point where it is. Okay. And we want to come out 4 inches. Now, since again, this is not on a straight line that we can snap to, hold down Shift and just click and let Shift go. Press Escape and then get your move tool. And we want this line to be, where was it? 4 inches. Oh, wait, undo that. I forgot that when you square out, it gets weird. So we need to select the node tool, select that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to highlight just the line we need to fix. And then we're going to come and then select your move tool. And then now it should allow us to do 4. No, it did not. Son of a gun. It's supposed to. Let's try that again. Let's maybe just select this node and then hold Shift and then select that one. There we go. So you have to select the node here and there using the node select tool. And now it has it on 4 inches. Okay. And that line does not really get any, yeah, that's just line D. So now, from line B to E is bust arch. So B to E is going to be at the bottom right here where the bust arch would be. So B to E is 9.5 inches, and then it says plus a quarter inch. So 9.5 plus a quarter is 9 3/4. So we need to make that 9 3/4. So with the pen tool selected, we're going to click on that line and just click anywhere, press Escape, select the move tool, and we're going to make that 9 3/4. So we're going to go to width 9.75. Press enter. Okay. Make sure this is correct here. Something doesn't look right here. Oh, look at that. My line was off. So if my line is off, that means something else here is off. Okay, it was a black line that was off. Nope, my pink line is off. Let's just check my measurements here. And this is the kind of stuff that will happen, unfortunately. So 14.1, that's right. And this is still correct. And let me just make sure this is 17. Yep, we're still good. Yeah, I don't know how I missed that, but you always gotta check stuff. And so this is now 9.75. And this line here will be E. Okay, so we need to label that E and get the move tool and just kind of move this out the way. Okay, and from E we need to square up. So remember, anytime you hear square up means that you need it at a 90-degree angle. So it has to be straight line up or down. So it's telling you to from here go up. So with our pen tool, we're gonna snap and select that, and we're gonna just click anywhere, press escape, go to the move tool, come down to this line at the height, put in 11 inches, and it will go right up to 11. Okay, and I'm gonna change this particular line back to black. I'm gonna select this line, I want that to be black. I'm gonna leave this line pink because I know that's where it's divided for now. And this is where we are right now. Okay, next we are going to do B to G equals shoulder slope. The shoulder slope is 17 and 1/16 and plus an eighth of an inch, so that total is 17 and 3/16. Okay, so 3/16 is 0.19. So we're gonna have from B here in the corner, and G has to cross, will hit this line here for C. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to zoom in because we're going to make the length of the line first, and then we're going to use the pivot tool, the pivot option. So we're going to put down our first point and just drop it anywhere else. Press escape, get your move tool, and we're going to come here and put 17.19 and press enter. And so that gave us the height for that. So now what we're going to do is we need to take this line and lay it on top of this one here so that we can get it to the pivot point. So with this line still selected, use your left arrow key and just keep clicking over until it lands right on top. Now I would suggest I'm going to make this line blue just so we don't get it confused with the black line and the other line that's underneath. So you see it extends a little past the top there. And what I like to do is I like to make sure everything is actually lined up, which I see that it is. Wonderful. Now we're going to make this our pivot point here. So we're going to go to the move tool while this line is still selected. We're going to go to the gear icon up here. We're going to enable transform origin and select that. And it's going to put down that bullseye. It's usually in the middle of the line. Probably blue is probably not a good color. Let me see if we could. Yeah, it may not show up on the screen. See, when I grab it, you can see it. So, I'm just going to change that color back to blue. And then we're going to just, I know it's here because once I hover over it, it has that cross, like that four-sided arrow. So just click on that and I'm just going to drag it all the way down. And the program will just take you down to, once you hit it like a little off the screen. I went too far. Sorry about the ambulance in the background. I don't know what's going on outside. Okay, so I dropped the pivot point there. And now we're going to rotate this line to touch the line in C, because that's what the instructions basically say. So it says B to G equals the 17 and 3/16, and then G touches C line. So that means we have to get this line to touch the, because this is line G. So I'm just going to come in, and you'll know it's ready to rotate when you see this little curved double-sided arrow, and then we're going to rotate it. And we're just going to keep rotating it until we get to line C. I'm going to zoom in a lot more so we can rotate it. And we want that circle point here to touch this line. So hopefully you can see it. I'm zooming in as much as I could. And I'm going to get closer. And just be sure that you're always using that curve two-sided arrow. And it's lined up perfectly with the center line there. So this line is, this point is G. So we're going to take this here and name it G. Okay? And be sure you are saving your work as you go along. Okay, so the next step is G to H equals bust depth. So the bust depth is 9 1/8. So that line is on this same line. The measurement comes from G down. So we're going to do the same exact thing that we did with the pivoting. So now we're just going to find a spot, and with the pen tool selected, so we need 9 1/8. And 1/8 is 0.125. So that means we're going to put in 9.125. So I'm just going to zoom in, click a point, pick another one, press escape, go to the move tool, come here and put in 9.125, and I'm going to press enter. And there is that line. So now I need this to go onto the G pivot point because the measurement is from G to H. So it's G and then H is somewhere down here. So I'm going to first make this line black, and then we'll leave this new line blue. And so I need to line this point up with here. So we're dragging it over until we can line up this point with these points here. And it should snap right into place. I like to zoom in just to make sure that it is correct. Oops. Oh, let's take that back out. Because you see where it meets right here. And if you're not sure where it meets, you could change the color of this other line so that we can see the point. Ah, what is happening? Let's try this again. Okay, and there we go. Now it's snapped into place. Okay, so now we need to get the pivot point placed here. So it's still enabled. So we're going to go down to the middle of this line, which I'm trying to find the middle point. There it is. Because I know it's always in the middle. So here it is. And we're just going to grab it, click and hold, and just take it up. And I'm just going to put it on the side so that I can now where did it go? Here it is. For some reason it just won't show up sometimes, and I don't know if that's a glitch in Affinity. So I think I might have to give some feedback to them about that, because I feel like this bullseye should be way bigger if we need it bigger. I don't know if there's an option for that. But place your bullseye right on the pivot point, and now we're going to pivot this line, which remember it's G to H, and we're going to pivot it to line up with this line here. So now we're ready to pivot it, and just get a little closer, and we're just going to go a little closer so that we line everything up the best that we can. This electric blue is not such a great idea. Okay, so this point becomes H. So we're going to name this point H. And before you click off of this, turn off this enable transform origin. Turn that off, because it can get to be a pain in the butt when it's on. And so now we're going to name this H. Okay. And go and click back on your move tool. And so the next step is, where are we? I'm sorry, I'm reading on my thing. So G to H, and mark on the G to H, the G to B line. We did that. Okay, so G to I equals the shoulder length. So the shoulder length is 5 1/8. So G to I is from here to the shoulder length here. So we know that the shoulder length is 5 1/8. So what we're going to do is just make a line that's 5 1/8 here, because it has to touch this line. So we're going to do the same steps with the pivot. So we're going to put down our first point, just do a second point somewhere, press escape, select the move tool, and we're going to change that to 5.125, but that equals 1/8. So 5.125, press enter. And so now the same thing applies, that we're going to just kind of bring this closer, because we're going to end up anchoring this to this one again. And the reason why we're doing it like this instead of clicking here and then putting it like that is so that we get the proper measurements, because for some reason when you try to just click it here and then add it there, the measurements kind of get distorted. So I found that this is an easier way to get it done. So we're just gonna connect everything here and it's all connected. So now we're gonna turn on the enabled transform. Remember, this line is still selected. Click that. And if we select this, we'll see the middle, and that's how you know where the bullseye is. Even if you don't see it, it's always in that middle spot. And then I'm just going to drag it. You see when I drag it, you can kind of see it, and I'm just going to drag it until I get to that point and everything gets lit up. And then I just get a little closer. It's there. Yep, it's there. So we're good to go now. So now we can pivot this to hit this line. And this is I. This point will become I once we get it up here. So we just rotate it. Oops. Just want to make sure I had the right line. Whatever you do, don't ever, when you see this line, you don't want it to change its height. So always make sure you're on the rotate. And just zoom in as much as you can to get it to put that point right on that line. Okay, and we got it there. This I. Okay. And then the next step is we need to square down from I to intersect with line D. Now remember, anything that squares down means that it has to be at a 90-degree angle. This is line I. We're not going to square down from this. This won't be our square down from this angle. It will be from here. So this needs to be 90 degrees. Now, you can use a virtual digital L square, which I do have, but I'm going to show you how to just do the 90 degree and still get what you need to have done. So we know that we need to create a 90 degree. So all we're going to do is just come off to the side here, get your pen tool, and we're just going to drop just a few, maybe this far here, just a few lines. So it's like an L, and we're going to get our 90 degree there. Okay, we're going to press escape, and we're going to get our move tool, and we created the 90 degree. Now we need to line this up with this line. So then we have to still do the pivoting here again. So I'm going to change this line to black, and we'll keep this line red or whatever color that is. And we are going to take this corner and match it up with here. And it will make sense once it's completed, and it just clips right into place. So now I need, and don't worry about it being off the board. So since my bullseye is still active, I don't have to turn it on because it's still active, and you can see the bullseye here. It's going to be in the center whenever it's like a shape. Whenever it's one line, it's in the center, but whenever it starts becoming like a shape or anything, it'll be in the center of that shape. So now you can see the bullseye, and we need to just bring it down to that pivot point, and it snaps right into place. So now we need to rotate this so that this bottom line lines up with this line, and this line here on the y-axis hits this line, which is line D. Okay, because the instructions say, as soon as I find it, good gracious. I just wanted to read it again. G to I, shoulder length, and it says square down from I to intersect with line D. Okay, so now we're going to come to any corner and just rotate that. Okay, and we're going to rotate it until we have this line matching up with the black line here. So I'm just going to get a little closer and wait for the arrow I need, which is that one for rotation. And I get really close so that everything is lined up to the best of my ability. I gotta pick a better color than this because this line is like, it's like doing something to my eyes here. Here we go. All right. And so with that being done, it causes this line to just immediately hit while staying as a right angle. Okay. Now, if you want to shorten this line, the best way to do that is you're going to take your node tool, which is like this other arrow here. You're going to select that. And we're just going to come and drop a node where these two lines cross. So you see that immediately like highlights where they cross. Just click and drop a node there. And then you're going to come and select this node here. And then you're going to click delete. And then it will delete that extra piece, and now it has the shorter line that we need. Okay, so that line, I don't think we need to do anything with that line. Actually, I think it was supposed to be, yeah, that should be fine. I don't think we have to shorten this line. Okay, so now J to K, so J is somewhere down here, and K is going to go across where this H is. Wow, H is really small. I think I need to make this bigger. Okay. And let's see, J to K equals the bust span, which is 3 5/8 plus a quarter inch. That makes it 3 7/8 of an inch. So that means the bust span from J to K, which it will cross over H, is going to be 3 7/8 of an inch. So J to K equals the bust span plus a quarter inch. Square from J at center front through H to K. Okay, so we need this to be 3 7/8. So 7/8 is 0.875. So how I am going to do this is we're just going to measure first. So 3 7/8. I'm going to get our pen tool. J to K, 3 7/8. So let's do here, escape, and I'm going to, oh, I want to turn this off. So we're going to do 3.875. I like to just double check stuff. Okay. So that should be right. 3.83. Yeah, so it's 3 7/8. and this line has to cross over or basically connect with H. Not connect, but hit with H. So we just need to line that up. So you need to line this line up with the center front here, and then it's going to go over. So you see how it goes over H. Tell you when this thing connects, it connects. So yeah, it has to go over and connect with that point there, and then you slide it over and it will connect here. So this point now becomes K. And you see it just crosses right over. And let's make this K. And again, you don't have to make the letters this big. I'm just making sure it's big enough so everyone can see it. Okay, next, we squared from J at center front through H to K. We did that. Okay, D as in David to L as in Larry equals 1/2 of D to J. So D to L is going to be up here. So D to L is somewhere in the D to L is somewhere in between this. So D to L equals 1/2 of D to J. Okay. Oh, and I didn't even label this. I'm sorry. This is J. My bad. There we go. I know you're looking at like, where is J? This is J. So D to, let's make this here a little bit bigger. So D to L is 1/2 of the measurement of D to J. So that means now we have to take the measurement of D to J. Now, there's a few ways. Let me see if this goes past. Yeah, it goes past there. So the easiest way that I find is you can do the measurement tool, which is here. You can go and select this line and this line. I just find that to be a problem because there's no way for it to automatically click on the line and then hold this position. I don't like it personally, so I'm just going to do the way that I like to do it. I'm going to break this line into two pieces so that I get the exact measurement. So this line already has a broken part here, which is the point that's already set. I want to create a point here where J is on this line. So I'm going to take my node tool. I'm going to take the node tool, and on this line here, I'm going to find where it crosses here and drop a node. Then I should be able to right click, yeah, and then I'm going to break the curve. So what happens is it broke this line into two. And see, and this is the pink line we're talking about. So it broke the pink line into two now. So now I should be able to select this line, which is D to J. Although it's connected up here, the measurement is going to be what I need here. And I could break up here as well. But if we were to move this, the pink and everything would move. So what I want is this measurement, which should be 6.84. And if you want to just confirm that, now you can use your measuring tool. And I love that it does have a measuring tool in this program, but it doesn't, oh, see, it snapped today. So now the measurement is 6.84. 6.4. I think that's what it says. It's so darn tiny. I think it says 6.84. And what did I say that it was when I selected this? Yep, 6.84. There it goes. Yep, so it's correct. So you can do that to confirm your measurement. So now, let me take out my calculator. Actually, I'm doing it on my phone, so sorry that it's not on the screen. As soon as I find it. Okay, so the measurement is 6.84 inches, and the directions tells us that we need to have a half of that, so we're going to divide that into 2, and that gives us a total of 3.42. So now we need to, where is it? So that point needs to be at 3.42, which will be line L. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another line, and I'm going to make that, I'm going to escape, do the move tool, and I'm going to make this line 3.42 and press enter. And that is literally half of this line so that I can get my point. So I'm going to zoom in because it says D to L is 1/2, so I needed to start from D, and I'm just going to line it up here, and I'm just going to change the color to a blue, and because I just want to know where the point is, and that is going to be L. Okay, so this is the point, which is L. So we're going to label that L. Okay, and now it tells us that we need to square D to L is 1/2 of D to J, which we did, so that's L. Mark down from D, we did that. And then L to M, so now we're going to go from L across to M. And that is, L to M is across chest, which is 6.5, plus 1/4 inch, so that is 6 3/4. So we need this to be 6 3/4. So I am going to get my pen tool. I am going to select that node or select that point. Since this is not on a line, we're going to hold shift down and just select from anywhere. Press escape, select your move tool, and we're going to change the width to 6 3/4. So 6 3/4, 6.75, and press enter. And so then that line goes right across. And that line is M. But we're not done with M yet, but we're going to label it. Okay, now with M, we have to square a guideline up and down. So that means they want to, whenever, remember, anything that's squared up or down is a 90-degree angle. So that means that we have to go up and we have to go down. It doesn't say how far, so we're just going to do, let me see if it says how far. Square a guideline up and down from M. It doesn't say. So what we're going to do is just on a space right here, we're just going to create a line about that long. Press escape, get the move tool, and we just center it until it locks right into place. And boom, there you go. Squared up and squared down. This is a 90-degree line on both ends, okay? Next, um, B to F equals dart placement. So B to F, so this is B down here. So B to F is the distance here, is dart placement. And that is 3 inches. And then we have to square down 3/16 of an inch from that measurement. So we're going to just use our pen tool. Now we can just come here and count 1, 2, 3, and we'll know it's right here. So let's try that method, because we remember each square here is 1 inch. So we can do 1, 2, 3, and then I know that this is 3 here, and then we can just drop a node here. And there we go. So we can drop a node there. And if you're not sure, get your measurement tool. You just want to measure it. And let's just zoom in a little. I don't know where my node went, but okay. There it is. And 3 inches. So we know that we are correct. So from this point, with the pen tool selected, we have to measure down, because it says square down. It's going to be 3/16 of an inch. So 3/16 is, just making sure it's 3/16, yeah. So it's 0.19. So I'm not going to click from here. Actually, yes, we're going to click from here. It should measure it out fine. I'm not sure what this thing is doing to me. And then we're going to press escape, move tool, and then we're going to put 0.19, and that's how short it should be. So this becomes F. Okay. And this is where we are so far. Okay, so next we're going to do I to N. So from here, I, and then N kind of comes somewhere down here. So I to N equals new strap plus 1/8 of an inch. So that total is 17 and 1/8. So we're going to take our pen tool and type and just come and click point, and 1/8 is 0.125. So we're going to select that there, press escape, go to the move tool, and then come down here and change this to 17.125 and press enter. So now I to N that I to N line, this line has to intersect into E. So what we're going to do is do the rotating option. So we're going to bring this line over, and we're just going to, oops, we're just going to move it until it locks into place where the 2 dots, or the 2 points, excuse me, meet. I think that's good. Wait, why does that look a little off? Oh, it locks into place so well. making sure it locks into the actual point itself. Let's see. That should be good. Okay. So now that we have that locked into there, we are going to come to the move icon, the gear icon, and click and enable that. And we are going to bring the bullseye up here because we need this to be the pivot point. So in the middle of this line, I know that the gear icon is always in the center, and I'm going to take this and drag it all the way up. Let me get a little closer. And I know you can't see it, but we know it's there. And there it is. We snapped it to that. That's good. And now we're going to rotate this line until it hits E. So it says the line from I should intersect into E. So let's get closer and let's rotate this line until it intersects with E. And I like to get really close so that we have as much accuracy as possible. And let's just make sure we're good with that. And there we go. So now this line now becomes N. Wait, I'm making sure I'm reading. I to N equals new strap, 17 and a half, drawer, I to N, intersect line E. So yeah, that's N. So now we're going to just put N here. Okay. And that is this line. Okay, so now the next step is N to O. So N to O is from N down here and O is up here somewhere. So N to O is the side length, which is 8 1/8. So we have to measure from N all the way up to O. And that is going to be 8 1/8. So now what I want to do is I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this line instead of drawing a new line. So I'm going to break this black line here where these two meet. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to select my node tool, and where these two meet is where I want to kind of drop to break the line. Hopefully it took on this line. Break the curve. Oops, I don't want to drop another one. I want to see if it broke it. Yeah, it did. So now, so instead I could just measure to see what this from here to here is. So that line, let's see, is supposed to be 8 1/8. So let's see. I wonder if we could just make this 1/8. I'm not sure if we're supposed to mess with this line. Just bear with me. I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, I'm just gonna make this line Yeah, let me not complicate this. I'm just going to draw my line. That's the size we need. So let's make a line, and we're going to press escape, and let's just draw what we need. So 8 and 1/8, so 1/8 is 0.125, okay, from our chart. So we're going to put in 8.125, and we're going to press enter, and then that gives us the length of that. And then we're just going to snap this, since we already cut the line, we're just going to snap it to it. And so that's where it ends there. So that line is going to be O. So we're going to name this one O. Okay. And N to P. So N to P. P is going to come out over here. So N to P equals mark 1 and 1 inch out from N. So we have to mark out 1, I said 1 and 1 inch, 1 and a quarter inch, excuse me. So N to P equals mark 1 and a quarter inch out from N. So that means from here, we have to mark out a quarter inch. So we're going to mark, let me get closer to make sure I'm getting that point. I don't want the point on the grid, I want the point from our measurement. And we're going to hold down shift and just mark that, press escape, and I want my move tool, and I am going to make this 1 and a quarter inch. So we're going to do 1.25. That was not supposed to happen. This is exactly why you have to take off this option here, because then it won't extend to where you need the measurements. So just make the whole thing wide from right to left. So let's try that again and see if it will do what it's supposed to do. So 1.25, which is 1 and a quarter inch, and there we go. So now this becomes P. And so we're going to come here, and that's P. Okay. Now, let's make this a little bit bigger so we can see where we are. Okay, so we marked one in. Okay. Now it says personal fit, see formula for adjusting. Draft is complete, so that's the different steps. So now we're going to go O to P. So O to P equals side length line is directed to P and ends when equal to N to O. Draw a line from P to F. Yeah, I know that sounds confusing. So O to P equals side length line is directed to P and ends when equal to N to O. So whatever the line is from N to O is what should be equal from O to P. Yeah. So side length line is, and I'll try to put some of these like phrases up on the screen. I'll try. I'm not making any promises, but O to P equals side length line is directed to P. right? So that means we go in the direction of P, which is O to P, and ends, so O to P ends when it is equal to the measurement of N to O. So we already know N to O here was 8.125, right? So that means P side length line to direct to P and ends when equal to N to O. Yeah, so it's just basically the same length. So what I'm going to do, since it says that it's going to end with the same length, that means that it's going to swing this way. So I'm going to duplicate this line. So we're going to say Control C to copy it. That's the O to N line, and Control V to paste it. So we should have a duplicate line here. Yeah, we do. And what I want to do is I am going to change, let's change this one to pink so that we can see the difference in the line. So I'm going to line this one back up right on top of this, and we are going to do the rotation. I'm going to turn on and enable that. Let me select my line, and I already know that my bullseye is in the center here. So I'm going to drag it up here. That should be, yeah, it's right there on the pivot point. And because this line technically has to line up, I guess, where P is, which is kind of weird because even though P even though P is at that angle, well, we have to rotate it here. And this is technically where P is supposed to be, but it's not touching it. So let me just say I don't think it's meant to at this point. It's just that this is not gonna this is just not gonna touch this at all. It won't even remotely line up. Yeah. So we just gonna leave this and see what happens, but it's just not gonna line up. So this lines up here. And yeah, we're just gonna leave that like that because it should line up here, but it's not. So everything will clean up eventually once we start completing the lines, but we're just gonna leave it here. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so where are we? O to P, side length line is directed to P and ends when equal to N to O. Draw a line from P to F. So now we're going to draw a line from P to F. So basically, this is where P is. Now we could just take our pen tool and draw a line from here. And we're going to draw a line here. And that should line up like that. So that's press escape, and that's actually what lines up everything. So as you can see, the front bodice is coming together. Um, so this is where we are right now. Okay, so next we are going to do P to Q equals waist arch plus a 1/4 inch ease less V to F. Yeah, I know that sounds like a lot, but we have to break it down. So let's see. P to Q equals waist arch. So the waist arch is 6.5. And then so it says plus a 1/4 inch ease. So we're going to take the 6.5 and add a 1/4 inch ease. So that makes it 6 3/4. Then it says less, which we know less equals less is basically minus. So less B to F. So that means we have to find out what the measurement that we have for B to F. So B to F is down here. We're going to scroll in and we have to get the measurement from here to here. So our handy dandy measuring tool, we're going to get that. And I'm going to zoom in as much as I can. And as soon as it just gets to that point, let's select there. And then it'll just kind of snap. And if you can see, it says basically 3 inches, or it says 3.006, which is just 3 inches. So we know from here to there is 3 inches. So now that we have the measurement from B to F, we know that we have to minus 3 inches. So in total, P to Q is 6.5, and we added a 1/4 inch ease, so that makes it 6 3/4 e. 6 3/4 of an inch total, and then we have to minus 3 inches from that, so that gives us a total of 3 3/4. So P to Q is 3 3/4. That is what P to Q would be. So let's, so P to Q is going to be on this line here. So let's actually, let's draw out our line. So we're just going to draw it out, press escape, move tool, and we're going to make that 3 3/4. So 3.75, and we're going to press enter. And I'm going to turn this line up here to black, and we're going to keep this one pink because we're going to do the rotation. So I just need to connect this line to this black line here, and it snaps right into place. Sometimes it snaps on the line, so I like to go really close. Of course it's going to do that to make sure I get to snap into the actual line. Okay, and so now we're going to turn on, oh, it's already on. There we go. So we know that our bullseye is over here. I'm dragging it until it connects. And oh, it's supposed to have connected. I'm guessing it did. Let me, yeah, it looks like it did connect. So I want to rotate this down to here. I'm just checking this angle here. Yeah, that does not look right. Yeah, I think my bullseye landed somewhere else, and of course I can't even see it. It's so annoying. Let me see if it will come back somewhere else. No, it's just not coming back. So you know what? I'm not about to sit here and fight with that. I'm gonna just redraw this line because I don't got time for that. So we just gonna redraw that line, and it's supposed to be what was it? 3.75. So we just gonna make it 3.75 into, and I wonder if I could just take it from this point right now, because you're not about to stress me out. All right. Yep. I just connected it on there before I moved it, so the pivot point will be there once I line it up. Oh, come on. I don't know why it's not snapping into place. There it is. I think I got it. Yeah, that looks correct. And now I should be able to, let me change this back to pink. So now I should be able to rotate it. Let me just make sure my pivot is fine. Yep. And I just want to align this a little better with the next line. And now we're good. Okay. I don't even know what I was doing. Okay, so that is P to Q. So this is Q. Okay, so now that's Q. And the next thing now is dart legs. So we're almost done. It says draw a line from K to F and measure. So K is up here, F is down here. Now remember, this is F down here, not here. Okay? So we got to draw a line from K to F. So we're going to get our pen tool, and we're going to select that line from F. You can zoom out holding control and scrolling, and scroll in and line that right up there and press escape. And now we need to, well, after we drew the line from K to F, we need to measure it because we have to create the next dart leg. So the measurements are right here. So it should be 7.473, not the length. It should be this one, but we're going to double check that. We have our measurement tool. So from here, from that point to this point, and it says 7.526. So it's actually down here. It's this one. That's the measurement, 7.52. So it's actually the length here. So we need to take that length. I'm just going to copy that. So now with that measurement, that is K to F. Now we're going to draw a dart leg from K through Q to equal whatever is K to F. Now, what I could just do is, because the dart leg needs to be the same, so it needs to line up here, whatever is Q, or it goes through Q. We could just copy this, and what I'm going to do is turn this one black before I paste it. And I just like to make sure everything is aligned, because, okay. I feel like, I'm sorry, I'm just doing a lot here, but I feel like this line is off. I just need to check something here. Yeah, it is off. Um, this line is supposed to match the blue. And this line was a measurement that went here. Okay, it was just slightly off, not drastically. So I want to make sure that was connected. And sometimes you just have to go over your work like that. And my lines are thick because I'm just trying to make sure you guys see. But normally my lines are much thinner, so then you could see when everything is not matched up. So now I need to paste. Actually, let me just recopy this one, copy, and I'm going to paste it now. And I'm going to turn the new one, because it should be 2. So I'm going to change the new one, and we are going to move this we're going to move this bullseye, and we're going to have the bullseye right here, which it should be lined up. It should be lined up perfectly with this, so we just have to line it up a little better. Oh, of course it's going to do that. What's happening here? Okay, I don't know why it's not letting me grab it. On occasions, there are some like moments where software just won't let you do what you need to do, and it's doing it now. And when I'm not gonna fight with it. I will just delete the line and do it all over again. So I pasted it, and I'm gonna get a little closer here, and oh, this can move any slower. Okay, it looks like I'm able to move it a little better now. Yeah, it's just not wanting to like cooperate. And there are times when this happens, I will just save my work, close the file, and reopen, because sometimes it's my computer. I have so many programs on here, and I just need to get a computer with a larger capacity for the amount of programs and softwares that I have. Okay, so now I know we not doing this again. Oh. I guess this thing just wants to aggravate me today. Okay, here we go. There we go. And it's a little off, which tells me that the program is having a glitch. Let me see if it will still rotate it, because sometimes even though the bullseye, I've experienced that where the bullseye will look like it's not in the right place, but then it is. So we're supposed to make this go right through Q. So now we're gonna rotate it and just make sure it connects right across this line for Q. So it's basically the other dart leg. Um, let's see. Now I wanted to, yeah, because that's what I want to see. Let's make this blue for now. Okay, that's why I couldn't see it. Because this needs to hit right here. All right, across that area here. And so this becomes, what is this one? Is this R? Yeah. So draw a line from K to F. We did that. Measure and then draw a dart leg from K through Q, which we just did. And it goes through until it equals K to F. And then we label it R. So this is R. I'm just going to make this a small r. So we have an idea where r is. Okay. So now Q is technically here. Let's just shrink that because that point is Q there. Okay, and now let's see, we did that. Q, R, K to F, label R. Okay, so now the dart point, center a point 5/8 of an inch from bust point, and then redraw dart legs from this point to redraw dart legs from this point to F and R. Okay, so basically from here, from bust point, the dart point, we are going to center a point that is 5/8 of an inch from the bust point. So I am going to do, I'm just going to draw this here and press escape, and we are going to do this, and 5/8 is 0.625. So we're going to put in 0.625 for the measurements of this. Let me take this off. 0.625. Okay, and so that is 5/8 of an inch. And so now I need to line this up with this. And now it's supposed to be a center point between the two. So I'm just going to see if I could rotate it. Okay, so I basically just put it at this point and try to center it between these two. because that's supposed to be the dark point. Hold on. Yeah, from the in the middle of these two, it's supposed to be like 5/8 centered. So it should be good there. I kind of have to eyeball it. And then we're going to redraw the dart legs. So the dart legs are going to come down from um, from that point down to, what did it say? F? Yeah, so B. What am I saying? B. Yeah, redraw dart legs from this point to F and R. So yeah. So now we're just going to take the pen tool, select this point here, and connect it with R. And then press escape. Actually, I didn't even have to do it that way. I could have just went from here, and then I could have just went up here, but it snaps right to it, and then come down to F. And so that's the redrawn dart leg. And what's the next thing? And let me just double check everything here. Looks good. Okay, so now it says draw a slight curved line from B to F. So we're going to do from here B, and we are going to draw a slight curve. So we're going to select here. Now when you're doing this, let me kind of start that part over. So we're going to select here with our pen tool, and we're going to select here where B is in the corner, and we're going to select F, that point, but don't let go of the point. So in other words, you're gonna click, and I'm still holding it down, and I'm gonna drag a little bit to the left, and this allows me to go up and down like this. So I just need a slight curve. I don't need it to go past the line. I just need it to be a slight curve, just like that. And you'll still have this. I let go of the mouse, so now I just need to click escape. Okay, and that's basically what that curve that you're looking for. This curve is kind of what you get from like the French curve in a way. Now you could use a digital French curve to do that, but the software like this kind of gives you the curves naturally. And so we're going to do the same thing from R to P. So we're going to start from P. Hold on. Okay. We're going to start from P, and we're going to come here to R, and we're going to do the same curve. What just happened? Okay, let's try that again. Now I'm going to get a little closer, and then we just want that a slight curve. And that's decent enough. As you're going to true your pattern, which is basically like correcting it, and whenever you hear truing the pattern, it's making sure everything's lined up measurement wise, so you're still going to have to do that. Okay, so this is draw a slight curved line, B to F and R to P. So we did that. And R to P. R to P should be fine. And if you ever needed to edit like the curve line, let's say it's just not curving enough, you just take your node tool and you're able to like just drag and edit those lines and click on a point and then you can edit the curves. But our curve was fine, so maybe you could lessen this here a little bit. Yeah, that curve was too deep. I think that's good. Okay. So now, so this is where we are now. And you're starting to see where it's coming together. I know it looks crazy. We're going to clean everything up. Don't worry. Okay, so now what is next? Okay, so the last things that we need to do is kind of draw out some of the lines. So we have to do the armhole. So it says draw armhole curve with ruler touching G, M, and square line. Do not follow curve past square line. Okay, so the square line that they're referring to has to be here with O. So if we remember here, this is O right here, so we need to have a square line. Let me just take this off here, and we're going to take our pen tool, and remember we're squaring it at squaring is a 90 degrees, so we're just finding that point, which is O, and then we're clicking on that, and let me just roll out a little bit. And since this is now on a snap line, hold down shift. Let's see how far. It didn't say how far to square out this line, so let's just square it out. Hold down shift and click that and press escape. So that is a squared line here. Okay, so now we have to have, excuse me, it says draw armhole. So the armhole is from G and it curves to M and then to O. So when it says draw armhole curve with rule, so that's basically a ruler, touching G, so that means the ruler has to touch G, then it has to curve and come and touch M, and square line. Do not follow curve past the square line. So in other words, the curve can't go too past over here. Okay. So now I do have now there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can do the pen tool and click here, and then curve. And I'm thinking whether or not I want to show that way. Let's try it that way. So we're going to click on G, and then we're going to click on M and make it a curve, and then bring it, let's actually, if you click on it, it will reduce this sharp curve, and then we can curve it like that. I don't really want to do it that way, but you can. And that would be your armhole, but of course you have to manipulate it a little bit. So let's say, for instance, you need to manipulate this. You'll come to the node tool and just hold down, click and move, and just make your edits. if you wanted to bring this down a little further. And these lines that you see here, whenever you click a node or point, those are like tails that you can use to like shape your curves. And if you need to add another one, you just kind of double click on there and the second one will come, which is, here. So, and you can make it short, long, and so forth. So you can kind of do that since it has to touch M, and then you just kind of play with the position of um, how you want this to flow. So yeah, you would have to play with that, but I'm not a fan of that necessarily. So I'm just going to kind of undo all of this. And what I'm going to do instead is use a um, digital French curve. I've actually had this for quite some time, since Illustrator, when I started drafting using Illustrator. So this is a French curve. This is available on the website at campusofashion.com. And it's like for a few dollars, this with the L square and another French curve. And I'm going to instead use this to kind of guide me on where I want to place my curves. So the instructions say that we need to have G, M, and O. So I need to rotate my curve, and you just come and just rotate it and position it the way that you need it to be. So this is similar to pattern drafting, and I'm just gonna kind of lay it here. I kind of needed to touch this line. I think I need to just rotate it a little more. Kind of like that. That's fine. As long as it's touching M, it doesn't have to touch right down here. As long as it's touching M itself. So I don't want to go past M, and it's down here touching O. It's not completely touching up here, so I just want to rotate it a slight smidge and bring it over a little, and I think we're good there. So your curve should be placed something like this. So just to give a close up, you have to at least be, touching the points here, and I think that's G under there, correct? And then M is under here. So it doesn't necessarily have to touch this particular point, because remember, this line is a part of M completely. So it just has to fall within that, and it has to just touch the squared line for O. So now I need to draw a line that follows this. So now I could take my pen tool, and I want to start at G. Hopefully I can get to the point. So that's the point there. So I'm going to kind of follow it here, and you can drop your points anywhere you feel like you need it. I just want to follow this curve, so it's almost like you're tracing it out. So actually, let me start that again. I know that's my point there, and I'm going to just follow the curve. You can pull and drag, okay? And then, and it kind of attaches itself to my curve, so it makes it a little bit easier. So that there, and I'm going to just click this because I want to remove this extra curved arm. I'm going to click that. And I just want to kind of smooth this out here. I think that's good. I kind of held down shift on that part. And I think that's good. I can just edit it in a minute. So I'm going to press escape. And I'm going to grab my node tool. And I could smooth out this curve a little better to suit what I want it to look like. Like this is just giving off too much of a curve here. So I don't like how that looks. And I think that's good. I'm going to change the color so I can see it a little better. Yep, I think I'm happy with that. And again, you don't have to have this digital curve. Like I said, I have it available on my website that you can download and use, but you don't have to. You can just do it free-handed if you want. I would prefer not to. That's just my personal option. So now I'm just going to make sure this is, yeah, it looks lined up. So now, as you can see, this line here is curved, touching M, touching O, and curved. So that is like the sleeve, the opening there. Okay. So we're going to do the same thing to the neckline as well. So for the directions for the neckline, it says draw curve from I, this is I, to D. To pass, draw a curve from I to D, passing inside the angle line by one by 1/8 of an inch. Okay, so the angle line, so that means you have to go in to the angle line 1/8 of an inch. Let's see. So we need to have 1/8 of an inch. It doesn't say how far in. Like it just says 1/8, so I'm guessing like the curve. So it's supposed to come in and curve here at an angle at 1/8 of an inch. Well, let's just try something here. I'm just gonna copy the angle for this line because I need a line to be 1/8 of an inch, but I need it to be on the same angle as this line. So I'm just gonna copy and paste this. So this is a duplicate. I only need the long line, so I'm going to erase this line. I select it, press delete, and I kind of want this line to be 1/8 of an inch. 1/8 is what was 1/8 again? Yeah, 1.125. Remember if I think the length should make it 8.125. It's a very minute size, and it just needs to line up with this line, so I have a reference of how far in to come. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just needs to be like there, so it's visible. So now I'm going to take my ruler. I'm going to flip this ruler around because I need this to be the opposite way. So with this selected, up here you're going to see the transform option. Select that, and we need to flip it horizontally. Right click that and it just flips. And so I need to rest this same way I kind of did with the sleeve, the opening, the arm opening. So I need to have it touch um, D, I to D, passing inside the angle by 1/8 of an inch. So that's why we have the 1/8 of an inch. So I need to probably rotate this back up, maybe a little like this. So it needs to touch there, there. We have to get this as close as possible to I. So it's touching I. And right now it ain't touching I. So okay, so there is I being at the corner there. So let's just try to rotate that. And I think, let's see, rotate it just a bit. And let's come up. Okay, so now it's, the curve is touching I. It curved over the 1/8 of an inch line in the curve, and then it came down to D. So we need to draw out that neckline. So now I'm going to select my pen tool and let's see, this line slightly a little off, but it was on the other one, so but I can kind of see it. So I'm going to come down here, just click and drag, and then I'm going to continue to D, and then just kind of, I'm going to hold down shift so that it stays straight, since that is like, should be kind of straight. And I'm going to press escape, and I'm going to select my node tool, and I really don't have to straighten this out. I think it actually looks fine. What part I didn't like here. Let's straighten out this part. And I just dropped a node here, so like you can do that. So like let's say, let me undo that. So let's say I wanted to add a node or point. I could just click it with the node tool and then just move that around. So let's say maybe I wanted one here, and maybe I wanted to like move that area. You just do that. I'm okay with what it looks like right now. I think I could just kind of like fix this little part here. So I'm not in love with it right here. Let me just see how far that is. Okay. I think I should complete that. Okay, I think I'm alright with that. And that is how you shape the neckline. And we are done. So now, and you could delete this, and I'll go over that in another video. I'll probably do it at the end of this to just talk about the digital rulers. But we are done with our front bodice, and we don't need this measuring chart because we're going to clean this up. We're going to clean this all up, but we're still going to preserve where we are now. So I just wanted to show how you will remove the grid. So you come to view, and you're going to come to show and just select grid, and it will remove the grid to clean up the draft so that we can use the sloper for making patterns, different pattern designs. So um, I want you to select everything. Just come over with your move tool and select everything. And you'll see on the right hand side on layers that everything is selected. Now you're going to group them. You can either come up here on the top and select group. I do believe you can also right click and select grouped as well. So now we have grouped everything. We're going to come over on our layers panel and duplicate that layer. Okay, so we're going to, hold on, we're going to right click on that layer and then you're going to press duplicate. So you duplicated that, and now what we're going to do is hide one layer and lock it. So we'll just select the bottom layer and the lock tool is right here in the corner. We're going to lock that layer and then we're going to turn it off so we don't see that. So now you're going to select that top layer because this is the one we're going to work on. And you can rename this layer. Let's rename the one we're going to work on as Bodice Sloper or Bodice size 6. Okay, so we'll just name that Bodice size 6. And now we're going to start deleting a lot of these different unnecessary lines and the letters. So make sure your move tool is selected. Before that, we have to ungroup what we grouped. So select this and ungroup. You can select it up here, and again, you can also right click over the image and you'll see ungroup. Okay, so now we're ungrouped it. So now we need to start deleting what we don't need. Now with the move tool, you could just select the letters and then press delete, and then just select parts of those. And don't delete any lines yet. Get rid of all the letters. Now, easy way too is you can select the letter, hold down shift, select another one and another one and another one, and keep holding down shift. And then you could just delete and then do the same thing. Select another one, hold down shift, and keep holding down shift as you select the ones that you want to delete, and then press delete. Okay, so now, oh, we got one up here. So now we're here at this position now, and we're going to start kind of deleting the supporting lines. So this line here, we have one there to delete. This line, we don't need that. We don't need these two cross lines here. Oh, what did I just delete? Yep, that's a cross line. There's a double. And remember, there's some that are layered on top of each other. We don't need this line. Oh, we got to come back to that one. Okay, so let me zoom in now because we have some lines that are connecting different areas, so we want to make sure that we're not deleting important like that. And that's important. We need that. That's the side seam. Let's see, it's this line I want to get rid of. And then that line, that line. And then now when we come to this bottom line here that's stretching here to here, that's connected. So we have to now select the node tool, select that line, select this node here, and then it will delete that line up to this point. And then we go back to our move tool. Okay, and then we also need to get rid of that line here. And let's come up here and get rid of this line here, that, this. Okay, so this one is also connected, and I think we need that. Yes, we do. So now we're going to get our node tool again and just select that point and then press delete, and it keeps the rest of the line. So this line here, I want to keep this just for yokes as a reference. I'm going to, with my move tool selected and the line selected, I'm going to get the double-sided arrow and I'm going to drag it until it snaps into place. So it's supposed to snap. I don't know what the heck is happening here. My snapping is on. There it is. I don't know if it needed to wake up or something, but let's see. Okay, that is not a duplicate. And then this line here, I need to drag this to snap in line with that one. So same thing until it snaps into place. And there you go. And I think we are cleared. Oh, we have one down here. Don't forget that one. And I think we're good now. So now you should be at this point where everything is cleaned up. Now we have to join all these lines because like lines like this, you know, they're not joined. This is not joined to that. So now we have to kind of join them together in order to make them one cohesive outline. So what we're going to do is we're going to select the first line. I'm going to start here at the armhole, and we can either do hold down shift and select the next line, or you can just like pull over and select them. And then what we're going to do is okay, right, it's vector. Sorry, I needed a second to remember this. We're going to go to vector, join curves. And then what that does is it closes that opening here. So now these two lines that we selected are now one. And we need to do that going all the way around. Don't do anything in the middle, just do the perimeter. So now that this is selected, I'm going to hold down my shift key, select this line here, and I'm going to go vector join curves. Hold down my shift key, vector join curves, and I'm just going to continue around the perimeter like that. I don't think there's any duplicates here. Yeah, this one, I knew there was something that I needed to. So I'm going to undo what I just did. Because I think this one we could get rid of. Yep, because that's a duplicate there. So I'm going to select this and vector join curves. Yeah, so that became a mess there, so we don't want that. And why didn't these two join? There it is. I don't know if it wasn't snapped together, so I just kind of re-snapped it. And you just want to make sure nothing is like a duplicate over it, or else it won't work properly. So I'm going to select this line that we did, and then hold shift, select the next one to join, and vector join curves. Now I could I could select all of this and then join curves, but because I know I have layers and I need to check them, it's going to make a mess and it won't become a solid shape. I've had that before, so I rather just do it this way. You can select everything and do it the other way, but I'm going to continue to do what I know works. Okay, so now I'm going to skip going into this part here, which is the dart, and I'm going to come up to this part here, and I'm going to select this one. So because my outline is selected, and hold down shift and select this part, vector, join curves, select this side, vector, join curves. And remember, every time you're selecting, you have to hold down shift. Okay, so this part is what's selected. Okay, and now I want to add this bottom part here. I'm going to hold down shift, select that, let go shift, come to vector, and select join curves. And then it joins together. So now when I come out of this, just to show you where we are right now, if I pull this away, you'll see that this is becoming one shape. Okay, and so we have like the dart leg to kind of add to it. Okay, when we're adding the dart leg, we are going to add this external part here because we can't join both parts. This is more of a reference for the dart, but the outer part is the actual dart opening. So we are going to select this outer dart leg, okay, and we're going to connect it to our rest of our perimeter. So we're going to hold down shift and select that. And then we're going to go vector, join curves. And that is supposed to completely close this entire shape. And to show you that, I'm just going to pull it to the side and you can see that this entire shape is now the bodice. Now, the internal lines are just reference points that I would like to keep. With this shape like this, we're supposed to be able to make it a solid color if you want, and we'll go over that in a minute. So I'm going to just press undo, and undo is Control Z. Believe it's Command Z on a Mac. So now we have it closed. Now we need to kind of connect some lines here. So this other dart reference line, we want to select that. So that's the inner dart reference line. And I am going to keep this diagonal line here as well. I'm trying to see what I want to connect what with. So I'm going to connect this line to this line. So I'm going to do this and this together. So we're going to go vector, join, and then I'm going to select the two, this dart, and we are going to do vector, join, and I don't know if I want to join these two. I don't know if they will join, but let's try it. Vector, let me pull this view out, and let's see what happens. Did it join it? Nope, it did something weird, so no thank you. I'm not going to join that. I'm going to undo that. Yeah, so, okay, it did it like that. Nope. Yeah. So we're going to put it back. There we go. All right, so This is an independent piece here, and so is this. Okay, just to know where we are. Okay, so I'm going to undo. Now, I'm going to change everything to one color. Um, we could just make sure the outline is selected. And yeah, just make it black for now. Okay. And so everything is one color. Now, if you want to keep it color coded, maybe you want this line, whatever color, you can change that. But now what I want to do is I am going to I'm going to actually let's name this. Actually, no, wait. Let me group these loose pieces together. So with this yoke line, I'm going to select this in the internal dart line. So just so you know which pieces I'm selecting, it's these pieces here. And I'm going to group these together because these lines won't have any use unless we need them. They're just reference points. And let me make sure I am saving this as well. Okay, so I am going to make this a solid line color. You're basically done at this point. We're going to make this a solid line, but first we're going to name our pattern piece. So our text tool, just drag that, and then we'll just put bodice front size 6. Okay, and then we could just put that in here, shrink that the way we need it. It doesn't have to be this big if you don't want it to, but it's just so that you know what piece you're dealing with. Okay, and I'm just going to group that with these pieces here. And then to make this a solid color, select the outer perimeter and just pick a color. It could, if you want to be reminiscent of, oh, wait, make sure it's the fill option. Okay. And you don't have to keep the outline option. You can actually just flip that. There we go. And you could change that. I'm doing it again. What in the heck is going on? Okay, make sure that's selected. The fill option has to be on the top. There we go. And whatever color you want to change it to, just put it there. I just need something that is bright enough to see for what we're doing. And if you want to keep the outline, you can keep the outline. I just need to make it bright enough to see. And what I'm going to do now is I am going to select all of this and I want to group it together. I'm sorry about all the beeping. I live near a highway and a busy, not even highway, just a busy road. And they just can't help themselves when it's with the beeping. And where I record, unfortunately, is right near the front view of the highway. Okay, so now we have this basically completely done. I'm going to turn off my snapping tool. Okay, and so this is basically what your sloper looks like. Now, I'm going to show you how you can save this to access it quickly within Affinity itself. So on the left side of my screen, you'll see that this section here is called Assets. And the assets basically allow you to put things in here that you can like easily access. So for instance, if I wanted to do some pattern drafting inside of Affinity, I don't have to go and open up the pattern that I already have if I use it consistently. So for instance, if I wanted to save this pattern here, it has to, whatever you're putting in here in the assets panel has to be grouped. So that's why we grouped this first. And I'm going to put this in my sewing patterns section. Okay. Um, let me see if I could find how to open the panel just in case you don't see it. Um, it should be view, show, maybe not. It's supposed to panels. Okay, it should be show panels, show left. Yeah. Okay, so view, show. Well, damn. Okay, yeah, here we go. It's Windows, panel, show left. And then when you show the left, you should see the assets. Make sure you're in vector and the assets panel should show up. Yeah, it should show up. Okay, so now in the assets panel, if you want to create a section, so this section in particular, I put as sewing patterns. So if you want to create a section, you create a new category. Okay, so this is my category name, which is sewing patterns. Then subcategories is how you divide them into each section. So if you want to add a subcategory, then you're going to create a subcategory. Okay, so for this demonstration, I'm going to create a subcategory. So we're going to just create it within this one. And so you see here it added assets. So then I have to come here with these little tiny line and I'm going to rename it. And the assets, I'm going to rename it Bodice, I don't know, front. Let's just call it size 6 just for this demonstration. And I'm going to click OK. All right. So now I need to add the pattern into here. So like for instance, this is a bag pattern that I have here. And these are all the pattern pieces for that bag. Okay, so if I wanted to utilize these pieces, I could just pull and drop it. So now I'm just going to shrink that. We're going to add into our size 6. Okay, so first thing you have to do, again, make sure all of this is grouped together. Because if you don't group it together, every little piece is going to become an asset in here. Every line, every stroke, everything that's not grouped together. So we're going to select it and we're going to come to the panel and we're going to select add from selection. And then you'll see that it shows up right here. So then now whenever you want to draft or work on your pattern, you don't need to open this actual file. You just open your assets panel and you just select it and drag, or the other way that you can add it is by double clicking. And sometimes, yeah, you could just drag once it drops it like that. You'll see that arrow and you can drop it. And then you're able to manipulate, rotate, slash, pivot, do whatever it is that you want to do to this actual pattern once you've draft all of your different pieces. And then it's easily accessible. And of course, to do anything that you want to do with pattern manipulation with this, if you need any slicing or anything of that nature, you may need to ungroup, but it does not affect what is in the asset panel at all. Okay, so I do believe this is all. If you want to get access to the digital rulers that I have, they are available on the website at www.campusoffashion.com. And that is all. And if you want to see more pertaining to the other parts of the sloper set that we can draft, maybe I'll do the back. And then if you want to see the whole set, the pants, the sleeve, we can do those. Just let me know in the comments. I hope this helps someone to be able to draft patterns in Affinity. Affinity is free, like I said in the beginning of this video, and you can actually draft a whole lot of patterns in this software. I know they made some updates. I had already recorded this before they made the new updates in Affinity. So I'm kind of curious to see how it affects pattern drafting. And maybe when I draft, if I draft the back bodice, then I can maybe see how that affects drafting. Okay, so thank you. Subscribe and tune into my next video. Y'all have a wonderful day. Bye.